let's go ahead and get down to business, shall we, fellas? Okay. Well, welcome to the compliance briefing for BAA requirements for LED lighting. We're glad that you decided to join us today. Hope your summer is treating you well. And with us, speaking of treating the summer treating as well, Adam is up in Chicago now. He moved. So say hey, Adam.
Hey guys, how we doing?
Awesome. And then Ed Birch is out on the at Ocean City, I think, right? Ed, is that where you are?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So he's on vacation.
Living the dream.
Summer's treating him fine, apparently. And I'm
How's
Dave.
everybody doing?
What's that?
I was just saying hello to everyone.
Oh, awesome. So welcome, everybody. My name's Dave Lowe. I work with government support here with Access, and we appreciate all of the folks that have responded or joining in for this particular briefing. Very important things happening in the Buy American Act, so we're glad that you all decided to join us. And a quick disclaimer, this event is not affiliated or endorsed by any agencies. It's provided to you for informational purposes only, and it's not a commitment or indication to buy from any vendor, including Access LED, but we do want to make it so that we can talk about what's happening with energy savings as well as the Buy American Act. A couple of things to make this work for you as far as briefing controls. You can open the panel and you can ask us questions by submitting those in the panel, as well as raise your hand and we can dialogue with you. If you logged in on your computer, it works great. And if you dialed in on the phone, make sure you enter your audio pin so we can unmute you, and that way we can talk about it. You can always get to us via email at govsupport@alg-usa.com, and that you can send that to us anytime, and we'd be glad to answer your questions. So if you would like to make us bigger or smaller or whatever it happens to be, there's a little panel between the presentation, and you can make us bigger or you can make us disappear altogether if you don't like the way that we look today, especially Ed. So anyhow, with that, we're going to be reviewing some initiatives and regulations. We'll talk about issues in meeting the BAA requirements because they are changing, right? And incorporating ROI into contracts, very important thing that's happened lately is being able to do that with return on investment. Meeting efficiency requirements, talking about retrofitting LEDs as well as doing entire replacements for fixtures as well. We'll get to some questions and answers from you, and you can ask the panelists about those, and protecting your agency when you're looking to get the right product for your RFPs. So real quick, the other thing we're going to do today is we'll have a few polls, not too many. But the first one is, I'm here because I want to learn more about the Buy American Act. Or what about the new administration initiatives that are requiring the Buy American Act compliance? Maybe you have a compliance issue. I'm interested in learning more about LED technology. Everybody should be interested in that because that's why we're here. And you have an upcoming requirement for LEDs, or my boss made me come. We had that as one of the responses for why they were coming in here. So with that, we'll let you make the decision of why you're here, and I am looking forward to hearing what Adam and Ed have to say on these subjects. So with that, we'll close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and boom. So this is what it looks like, fellas. They want to learn more about the Buy American Act. Great, we have some good information there, and the initiatives about that, as well as LED lighting. So I'm glad that you guys decided to join us today. So Adam, tell us a little bit about Patriot Tubes as well as Access LED and how you got involved in this world of LED lighting.
All right, well, we started Access about 6-7 years ago, mainly just doing project work with, working similar to like what an ESCO would do that you guys would probably work with. We turned from there about 3 years ago, got approached by the U.S. government because I had such good products. They wanted to build because they knew the government was going to want to change their lighting out within the next few years. That's when it's going to start. So they came after me or our company to be the forefront of manufacturing LED technology with for specifically government folks. It's going very, very well. We're very, very busy, and we are looking forward to getting busier. So.
That's right. And tell us about, there's a couple of things here. First of all, you are assembled here, manufactured in the United States. You have a couple of different locations for fixtures and tubes. But tell us about this UL Flicker Free Verified. How does that play? I had not heard of that before.
Okay, this is a newer requirement that we're hearing from especially the DoD is requiring a low flicker rate or flicker free technology where through the naked eye none of us can see flicker. It's like it's like a lot of movie cameras can do it. You've seen dances like lights flicker and dance before. LEDs will flicker super fast, so fast you can't even see it. But then now it's starting to be a requirement, especially for schools also, that some kids are getting headaches or getting it's like what's the word? Epilepsy.
Epilepsy. Wow.
Where they can get seizures. So what this is going to bring down is obviously that we just got our UL flicker free verification. We're the second company in the entire world that has this technology, and ours is a 0.001 flicker rate, which is obviously extremely, extremely low. Most of the competition is anywhere from 20 to 60%, and ours is 0.001, and it's UL verified, which is obviously a very strong certification.
Well, congratulations on that. Two in the whole world. That is fantastic. And the biggest part and the main reason why everybody's here is BAA and TAA compliant. Well, if you're BAA compliant, you're automatically TAA compliant. So let's talk about the Buy American Act that started right around the corner in 1933. So a lot of the things are being obviously revisited in this for the Buy American Act. We'll talk about that, but it's manufacturing and assembling in the U.S. And we also have Employ American initiatives that are coming from the president. We still have the government efficiency mandates, along with new administrative executive orders, and there's definitely more to come. I have been talking with folks at the White House at OMB. There are new initiatives that are coming back, and we're also looking at an aggressive use of ROI. That's a return on investment. There's a lot of contracting folks that don't even know what that is, but being able, and you mentioned this a few minutes ago, but the energy savings performance contract, to be able to build that into your performance so that you get the savings that you're supposed to get as a result of the replacement of LEDs. So with the Buy American Act, it was back in 1933. The initiative is to get you to be able to produce things in the United States. Now, the interesting thing is that it is executed on behalf of the president, and it is. And we'll talk about that as well in just a minute. But if you take a look at what the president has done back in January, especially when you started to talk about steel and the construction of the American pipelines, and it gives a 25% price protection over TAA. You don't even need that for LEDs, but in steel you may. So the way that this works with this in the efficiency mandates as well is back in March 2017, we had to improve the efficiency, effectiveness, and accountability of federal agencies. This dovetails into that for reducing the spend on energy as well. And it also applies to your green initiatives. Planning for sustainability is still in place, Executive Order 13693. Many folks are familiar with that. And Energy Independence and Security Act of 2007, the Policy Act of 2005, all the way back to 1992. So all these all rolled together, and we can apply the LED replacements to each one of these efficiency mandates, as well as the executive orders that have come from the president recently. So here's a question for you. Have you ever used or seen an ROI in a contract for a return on investment? If you have, we'll talk a little bit about that, but we're going to talk about how ROIs, return on investment in contracts, can help the agencies. It helps companies as well, but right now we're talking about agencies and the ability to incorporate these into the contract. So with that, we're going to give you another 3, 2, 1. There you go. So here's what it looks like, guys. 42% to 58%. That's what it looks like. So a lot of folks are seeing this already appear into contracts. So we are seeing more and more the ability for government personnel to execute these. So let's talk about this. Ed, tell us about the energy saving performance and how these work for being able to incorporate this into your funding vehicle so that it works for them to be able to show that they're actually saving the money.
Certainly. So there actually are guaranteed savings plans. It's a contract with an ESCO. They provide all the financing for the lighting retrofits. The monthly payment on the contract is actually less than what your monthly savings is. So it's a net positive cash flow month one. And they typically range from anywhere from 7 to 10 years. And like I said, there's no out of pocket. It covers the cost, all costs with the lights, as well as the installation charges. And they come with a typical ESCOs provide a 10-year warranty, so that any lights were to go out or fail during the first 10 years, they have a insurance policy that covers the cost of bringing in people to change out the light. So it's 10 years you're covered. You don't have to change the light for 10 years. And so, obviously frees up maintenance people to do other things, work on facilities and in other regards, instead of, constantly changing out fluorescent lights, which I'm sure, is in large. They have, put it this way, we have a proposal with it's the GAO building down in DC, and it's a 2 million square feet building. Wow. They have 2 full-time employees to change lights. That's their jobs.
That's their job.
And so with these contracts, there's no more maintenance for lighting.
What I find really interesting is that a lot of times you're at 24 to 36 month ROI. You mentioned that it can be spread out over 7 years, but you can actually get there faster and fixtures for 36 to 60 months. So it depends on what they're doing, but you can really see a dramatic difference in your energy bills, right?
That's correct.
And that's why they're getting
probably about 15% off your energy bill.
Yep. So with that, I do want to ask this question and I'll bring up a story from how when this worked with me originally. So there's some questions about LED replacement. So sometimes it's about cost and budget because they are more expensive, right, Ed? It's not a 1-for-1, but the LEDs savings are really in the
yeah, you're gonna reduce your wattage by typically at least 50% reduction.
Mm-hmm. So at least 50%, at least. So
yep.
Here's what we have. We have issues with LEDs: the cost, the budget, the quality of technology. You can pick more than one if you want to. I don't think so. No, you can't. This is your primary issue, apparently. So cost or budget, quality of technology. Originally, it was a lot different. Nowadays, the warmth of the lights, you can choose your own temperature now. BAA or TAA compliance or something else. You can let us know about that. And I'm going to go ahead and close this down in about 5 seconds. And that way we can keep on moving. But I appreciate you guys doing that. 5, 4, 3, 2, and there we go. So a lot of folks are concerned about the cost, but I think you just addressed some of that, Ed, and we can talk a little bit more about it, but we'll talk about each one of these one by one. And there's a lot less concern about color difference now, which is an interesting thing because originally when we started doing these briefings, we had some issues with that. I know I did when I turned on my first LED above the refrigerator and had my wife stand under it. That was probably about 10 years ago, and that was, can't do that. But now it's a lot different. So tell us about the cost. You mentioned it earlier. It's typically 4 to 6 times. So tell how this works.
Well, I mean, they've come down. So pricing keeps dropping. I mean, probably 2-3 years ago, you're paying $60 for a bulb. Now you're paying, in the $10 range for a BAA compliant bulb. Mm-hmm. And so, the price is constantly dropping. The efficacy, which is the lumens per watt, is constantly on the rise. And like you say, the color is not an issue any longer, but the cost is continually dropping. And the ROI, typical fixture burns about $30 a year in electricity. And so if you drop that in half, you're saving $15 per light fixture in a building. So, look around your office and, each year you're going to save $15 to $30 a light fixture. So
That's
in electric.
phenomenal. That is phenomenal. And here, some of the issues that we found, and I've talked to some of the contracting folks myself, is that they don't have the ability to utilize an ROI a type of vehicle. But that's starting to change, and we're seeing that happen. But the inability to reallocate funds, that's starting to change as well. We have new initiatives on that particular subject that you're going to see in the next 12 months. Absolutely. And you mentioned the quality of new technology driving down the prices. The brightness of the bulbs is going up, and sometimes there used to be warranty limitations, but we don't have that anymore because it's 5 or 10 years, right? For 5 years for the bulb, 10 years for the fixture.
10 years for the fixture. We can extend the warranty for 10 years on bulbs as well.
Wow.
We have a third-party insurance company that will warranty them.
Right, and we have, even now we find that and especially with the new certification for the flicker, the low flicker, right, Adam? This differs from fluorescent in a good way for the warmth of the lights as well as for the flickering problems, right?
Exactly. Yeah, the low flicker is going to definitely be a very big product in the very near future for a lot of you folks and also for us.
Yeah,
it's going to be a requirement across the board, I would imagine, for hospitals, schools, governments, universities, etc.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And as far as the BAA and TAA compliance, that is getting met as well, certainly with the Patriot tubes from Axis, right? So let's talk about retrofitting, because a lot of folks, like you mentioned, Ed, you were talking about, or maybe it was you, Adam, that was talking about having 2 full-time positions, right?
Yes.
Just change out the bulbs. So that can be done.
They're called lampists.
Lampists. Lampists. Right on. So if you can do this with a single fixture, just pulling out and replacing the tubes because they're retrofit capable, right? That's
correct. If you get a plug and play, it works with the existing ballast. We have, it's basically 3 types of tubes. You have a plug and play, it's called, where the existing ballast works. We have a dual mode, which you can, when the ballast is in, it's a quick way to retrofit, and as the ballasts go out, you can hardwire the tubes. And then we also have external driver tubes. So you put a driver in place of the ballast, and that runs the tubes. And those are basically the three different types of LED tubes. And you can do that by single fixture, room, floor, building, or the entire campus, right? So there's typically we'll send some samples. People can check out the bulbs. And then after they check out the bulbs, maybe in a room or a couple rooms in an office, and then after that, they typically will then do the full retrofit of the building. Fantastic. So, and as you mentioned, 50% reduction at least in energy usage, 50,000 hour warranty, 10,000 for the fixture, as you mentioned. And as far as how long they last, this is the biggest part that I've found is for me personally with my LEDs, I don't have to be changing them out all the time, which is another reduction in cost, certainly of maintenance. And that's one of those odd ones. It's hard to measure, but you can measure it over 3 years time, right? That's correct.
Yeah, typical fluorescent can last anywhere from 2 years, up to 5. Just depends how many times. When you click them on and off, like in your own personal office, they're not going to last as long as if they're on the 24/7. But you guys have all heard the buzzing of the ballast, the real flicker, the fluorescence turning pink and brown and everything like that. With an LED, you will not get that. The depreciation of light through an LED, with a fluorescence, at least minimum 10% per year. With an LED, we're at 1%. So over 10 years, you're only going to lose 10%. And over, fluorescence, they're going to, go down, down, down until the ballast dies or the fluorescent dies.
And that, when you see the difference, it's pretty incredible to see the difference in the brightness as well as the color tone and the choices that you have that you just didn't have just a couple years ago, right?
Yes, technology has changed incredibly over the past few years just since I've been doing this.
So let's see what people are thinking about the lighting upgrade requirement. Have you seen this? Is it immediate? Is it right now for Q4 2017? Is it 2018 or not sure? Let us know when you expect to have that. And we're in Q4 for the federal government, right? Already. So it could be right today that you need something. So let us know when you need a response. We have some new materials that we're going to be distributing as well to let you know about some of the new specs that are available. All right, there's several folks that are looking for it right now, about 14%, and the other ones are not sure, which is fine. But we'll make sure we get you the information that you need as well. So let's get to some questions. So if you have questions, and there's a couple of folks here, let's see what we got. Can we get a copy of the slides from Stephen? Yes, you will get a copy of the slides, and you will also get a link to the presentation itself, and we'll make sure that we get that out as a follow-up. In fact, you'll get a follow-up email with that. And I have a couple of other ones here that came in earlier. I have a requirement for multiple lights for multiple buildings, no storage and warehouse. Would like to get as needed. Can we do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Do you have an authorized rep who is a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business or veteran-owned business? Yes, as a matter of fact. And they have a GSA schedule to boot. Right?
That is correct.
Yep.
That is correct.
All right. So which is harder to comply with, UFC, DOD, or P100 GSA? I don't know the answer to that question. You guys know the answer to that? We might have.
What was the beginning of the question again?
It says, which is harder to comply with, UFC, DOD, or P100 for GSA?
Well, the P100, from what we know, is hopefully going to be changed soon. It requires fixtures only and not LED tubes, which we obviously can we comply with that because we have fixtures and we also have LED tubes. Our core business, we make the most of LED tubes because there's the most of those out there. When you get into the fixture cost, just the cost of the installation is so expensive with you government guys. Typically for normal non-government, you're looking at $30 to $50 per fixture. We did the Green Initiative building, or the Green, what was it called, Ed? Green
Proving Ground.
Green Proving Ground. Sorry about that, guys. Green Proving Ground down in GSA down in Fort Worth. We were one of the 4 or 5 companies that they chose fixtures for to do this study with. And, just the install cost was extremely high, but, the energy savings, I believe we're at the top out of the 5 companies over Philips and the other companies that are for energy savings and lighting with that P100 or with that GSA building. But the P100 says fixtures only, and the other ones we comply with everything.
Cool. Can you explain the 50,000 hour warranty details? Which one wants to handle that?
I mean, 50,000 hours. If a tube goes out or a light goes out within the warranty period, they just give us a light count. They send us the bad lights and we replace them. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, it's not a big process. Typically, our failures are very, very low. I mean, you put in 10,000 bulbs, you might have a couple that go bad, and typically LEDs, they either go bad when they initial startup or they work. So it's at takeoff they crash or they don't crash. So you pretty much know which bulbs are bad, and obviously shipping these things, and they can be maybe a solder comes loose or something on a light, but it's pretty much hassle free. We don't really ask a lot of questions. All we ask is that they send back the defective merchandise and we replace it.
All right. And what about direct wire at the UFC?
UFC?
I don't know.
What's that? Ultimate Fighting Championship?
No, I believe with a direct wire UFC, if they're requiring that you not do it, I'm not familiar, 100% familiar with it. I've heard it, but we have the other options. We have the external driver tubes, which is basically replacing the ballast, what Ed was explaining earlier, with an LED tube. You put the driver where the ballast is, the tube where the fluorescent is. Then we also have the plug and play, which is you use the existing ballast on there. So we can comply with any of that.
All right,
no problem.
And we'll do some research on the UFC because we're doing a lot of DoD work now with the Air Force and other places, right? Yeah. So obviously we just need the terminology of that. So we will get to you, Stephen. Great questions. Can you provide me with spec sheets and price lists? Of course we can do that. That'll go out as well as part of the follow-up. So, and we will get if there's any other questions, we'll be glad to get to you and your questions. And if you shoot us via email, we can do that as well. So let's talk about a couple of the different ways that you can go about replacing these, because it can be a single fixture for a room or floor for a smaller type of an environment that a lot of times can be even put on credit card, right? So it can go by fixed, like you said, Ed, you send a fixture to see which ones they want. You send some samples. Is that how that works?
Yeah, typically they'll give us what they're replacing, if they want fixtures or they want tubes, and then we basically will send out some samples, put them in, make sure the light quality is what they're looking for, the wattage is correct, the temperature is correct. We try to match what the existing is, so do the LED equivalent of whatever's the existing light there. It depends on if it's a high bay or if it's a fixture inside of a building. We pretty much build anything, exterior, interior, everything but screw-ins. Right. So we don't do screw-ins at this currently. I think we're actually looking to get into that. But right now we do everything but. And
screw-ins are the replacements for your incandescent bulbs, is what you're saying.
Incandescents typically are floodlights, or
all right.
Sometimes conference rooms have those floodlights in them, but
all right. So that's for the process. Now, if you do the LED replacement process, same kind of thing. Fixture type, existing wattage, you go right through it, and you can direct ship right to the location, which is more of an installation by the customer in that event, right?
That's correct. We can do as little or as much as you want. We can do complete turnkey, where we'll send out a lighting auditor. We'll do a lighting count. We'll come back with a proposal, tell you the ROIs, and you guys pull the trigger. We go ahead and we move to install. We install the lights, and or we can ship pallets of lights to you, and you have your own installers. It doesn't matter to us. We'll do as little or as much as you guys want. And
normally, when you get to the larger campus, either a larger building or a campus, you're doing the lighting audit, as you mentioned, and then there's a proposal with the specification, with the ROI analysis, and how everything works as far as the terms, if they're going to just buy it outright, or if they're going to do some kind of a payment type of thing with the S-codes, as you mentioned. So it's amazing how often this works and how often you guys do this. What are some of the success stories that you've seen with specific campuses like this, and the cost reductions that you've seen? And I think we might have lost Ed there.
Not lost Ed, but yeah, we've had a lot of success stories doing large military bases to smaller military bases. We just did a recent one in Guam military base, and they've installed all the lights, and they've said they've saved up to 20 to 25% on their products. We've done campuses, universities, many of places that have just obviously love their lights. Our failure rate is what really sets us aside from, besides the quality of our lighting, our failure rates, where we don't get phone calls every day saying, oh, we got 2 bad here, 5 bad here, 10 back here. We never ever get phone calls with that, which is very key for, if you go with some other products where you have high failure rate, that's very frustrating for you folks out there, that you have to sit there and send your guys out there to change them, or call somebody and then wait for somebody to call you back, et cetera, et cetera.
Excellent. And so, as in contracting, for the folks that are here from the federal government, why push for the BAA LEDs? First of all, it meets the new and upcoming requirements for federal mandates, no matter what they are, because you're seeing the changes between BAA and TAA compliance happening. It meets the initiatives for the cost savings, so you get a double hit there, and the guiding principles for sustainable federal buildings. So it's a triple hit. So you have all of these pieces, including the federal green challenge to reduce electricity and and or your fuel oil used per year by 5%. This alone, because how much of the lighting, that's a great question. Lighting represents up to 30% of a building's operational cost. So if you save half of the lighting, you're already at 15% savings, right, fellas?
That's correct. About a 15% reduction in the electric bill.
It is absolutely a no-brainer for a lot of those. So you may want to take advantage of a proof of concept pilot where you can see that it's working in your environment. This is very effective for folks who have not adopted into or don't have the capacity to have an ROI contract in place so that you can test it and say, okay, what's the difference? You can measure it right out of the gate. You can verify the return on investment, and that way you can pipe that up the food chain to say, hey, we have a way to be able to save money, and as long as you can reallocate that money into something else, you don't lose it in your budget. So it works in a small application, almost like a micro or simplified acquisition. Either one, it can work under either on a P card or a simplified acquisition. So we can help you with that if you need to, and even deal with the installation and coordinate that as well. And if you need socioeconomic, if you need service disabled, if you need 8A, we can help you with that as well. And we can also apply under existing IDIQ or BPA. A lot of the work that we do, right, Adam? We got tons of work that we're doing under the Air Force. And other DoD projects where they have existing IDIQs that have been placed for years, right?
Exactly.
So we can handle that as well. So when you're dealing with looking at this as replacements for or an entire upgrade on your facility, if you want to stay out of hot water from the contracting side, make sure you're BAA and TAA compliant. If you're BAA compliant, you're automatically TAA compliant, right? And require the UL flicker-free verification. Again, tell us about that, Adam, and how did you get that? Because that sounds like it's very rare.
Yeah, basically what we did is we had to develop a product that had the low flicker or flicker-free technology inside of it. We worked with UL it took about 3 to 4 months of tweaking, testing, so on and so forth. And then just, I believe it was last week, we finally got the okay with the verification that ours have passed with flying colors, and that we are the second company in the entire world to have these products.
So, congratulations on that.
Exciting.
Congratulations. And make sure that you require that, because that helps on multiple fronts. You can put that language right into your RFPs and RFQs. Verify the warranties. Make sure that the people have the ability to deliver on those, and the return on investment claims. As Ed mentioned, you have turnkey and retrofit, and guarantee the ROI savings on both of those. Choose quality vendors. When you choose quality vendors, good things happen. That's the bottom line. So verify the lead time. And we really didn't talk about lead time. Do you guys want to talk about lead time real quick while you have a minute?
Lead time depends on the size of the project. I mean, it can be anywhere from, smaller project, 1 to 2 weeks if we have the material in stock. And if it's a extremely large one, you could be up to 12 weeks, which isn't terrible. If we, get an order for 300,000 fixtures, obviously that's going to take anybody, a few months to make that, get all the material in and produce it, manufacture it. So what you're looking at, smaller orders, 1 to 2 weeks typically, unless it's a funky, weird order. Then you'd be looking at 4 to 6 weeks. But on a larger order, you're looking probably 12 weeks max. And
a funky, weird order, you can build, right?
Oh, we can build anything you want, basically, for lighting. I'll make sure I say that.
We have the ability to build the spec. So if there's a quirky spec out there, we have the ability, as long as it's a large enough project, we have the ability to build whatever's required. Lumens per watt, or a special size. We've built custom fixtures galore, because there's old ceiling grid, or there's there's a multitude of different issues in older buildings, because it's not standard. It wasn't standardized 50 years ago.
That's right. It wasn't standardized 10 years ago. for a lot of that stuff. Okay, so verify your past performance, and you can establish and use BPAs. It is a great tool, especially as we're coming into the crunch time for fiscal year end. Gives you fast access to vendors. And as far as procurement options for Access LED, small business, and here's something that's an interesting thing. You have an interagency agreement with Unicor. So what does that mean, Adam?
Interagency agreement with Unicor is a buying mechanism for you guys that can skip the RFP, RFQ process. Basically, what we would do is we contract with Unicor. You would buy directly through Unicor. We would supply the materials for that certain project or whatever you guys are looking at, and then they would essentially pay us, and then you don't have to go there and do all the paperwork for the RFPs, RFQs. And let it sit out there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever you guys, the RFQ does. You can immediately, if you have a big project right now, say I need to change out 10 buildings, we can go to Unicor, do the interagency agreement, and then we can get the project started as soon as possible.
And that's a nice little bonus for everybody involved because it reduces the paperwork, which is great. And if you need to buy off a GSA or you like to buy off a GSA, we will be sending out some links to the tube so you can purchase those right directly from GSA Advantage. And if you need to run it through a hub zone or 8A, woman-owned or service disabled, we can help you there as well. We have teaming partners to be able to facilitate that. So let us know what socioeconomic piece you need, and we'll make sure that we get that. So with that, let's ask the final poll question, which is, I need help with, and that would be a specific project, looking at whether this will work for your organization, spec sheet, price lists, a lighting audit. If you have a bigger project to be able to build your case or something else, please contact me and we will make sure that we do exactly that. So most of the folks are asking for spec sheets and price lists, so that's great. And we will make sure we get that out to you as well. And we'll give you another 5 seconds to let us know, and we will get that out to you. And there you go. Beautiful. Thank you very much. We will get that. As a follow-up, you will get, as was mentioned before, you'll get a copy of the presentation, the Q&A dialogue that happened there. If additional questions happen, I don't see any additional ones right at the moment, but if you have questions, you can let us know. The supporting documents for all of the presidential initiatives as well as the green initiatives, Access LED Group capabilities and procurement options, including GSA as well as the Unicor interagency agreement, and links to gsaadvantage.gov so that you can see the products and buy them right there off of GSA Advantage. And with that, we would love to say thank you for joining us today. And you see that tan guy, Adam Harmon, there that happens to be sitting up now in Chicago, right?
Yeah, not as tan.
Not as tan. Not as tan. Now Ed's getting his tan now.
That's it.
He's getting his tan on. So we do appreciate you all being here. Try and stay sane as we approach fiscal year end. We know that it's heating up. We see all the projects that are coming through, and we appreciate you including us on those projects. And we would love to continue to work with you if you need additional help with your LED replacement or complete retrofit. So again, thanks for joining us, and we will see you on the next briefing. Have a great rest of the summer.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.